Welcome to the Bible Breakdown. No fluff, no tradition, just verse-by-verse clarity. Today we're continuing our journey through the 10 Commandments, and we're on Commandment 3. We're tackling the commandment that most of us as Christians think we're pretty good at keeping, because we don't use God's name in derogatory conversations. The assumption is that the third commandment is just about vocabulary. We don't use certain four-letter words, and we don't say, "Oh my God," so we think we're safe. The hard truth: if we're a Christian, we've broken this commandment more times than we can count, and I'm going to show you why. In Exodus chapter 20, verse 7, it says, "You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain." Honestly, most of us treat this like a censorship rule. We think God is primarily concerned with the acoustic vibrations leaving our mouths. We treat his name like a magic word that we just shouldn't say in anger. But the first commandment was about who we worship. The second commandment was about how we worship. The third commandment, this is about representation of God as a Christian. Let's look at the definition. The Hebrew word translated as in vain is shav. It doesn't mean swearing, it means empty. It means worthless. It means deceptive. And the word take, in Hebrew it's nasa. It literally means to lift up, to carry, or to bear. Think about a soldier wearing a uniform. He bears the name of his country. If he acts dishonorably while wearing that uniform, he disgraces the nation he represents. The reality is, when you claim to be a follower of God, you are carrying his name. You are his ambassador. So taking the Lord's name in vain isn't just about what you shout when you hit your thumb with a hammer. It's about claiming to belong to God while living as if he doesn't exist. So how do we as Christians break this today? What does modern blasphemy look like? It looks like the politician who uses Bible verses to manipulate voters while having zero interest in God's law. That is using the name of God for personal gain. That's vanity. It looks like the prosperity gospel preacher who says, "God told me you need to buy me a new watch." That's fraud. That is signing God's name to a check he never wrote. But let's bring it closer to home. You're taking God's name in vain when you visit a dirty website. You're taking God's name in vain when you are rude to your server. You're taking God's name in vain anytime someone sees you and has no idea you're a Christian based on how they observe your life. It looks like us posting Bible verses on social media to look righteous, then treating our spouses with contempt in the kitchen 5 minutes later. When we attach the holy name of God to our own sinful agendas, our own vanity, and our own hypocrisy, we are misrepresenting the King. We honor him with our lips, but our hearts are far from him, and that is taking his name in vain. And here's the terrifying part of the verse, the warning attached to it. "For the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain." This is a legal verdict. It means that there is no acquittal. If we're honest, if we look at our hypocrisy or our empty worship, and the times that we use God as a prop for our own reputation, we are all guilty of breaking this commandment. Not one person has kept this law. We have all dragged his name through the dirt of our own sin. So where do we go for relief? If the verdict is guilty, how do we survive? The gospel is not that we try harder to speak nicely, and I'm not saying we shouldn't try to emulate God in every facet of our lives. But the true message of the gospel is that there was only one man who carried the name of God perfectly, Jesus Christ. He never spoke a false word. He never misrepresented the Father. His worship was never empty. He hallowed the name that we profane. And on the cross, he took the penalty for our inability to keep any of the commandments. He took the guilt of every hypocrite who would trust him. So stop trying to justify yourself by saying you keep this commandment at all times. None of us do. Confess that we've carried his name poorly, and thank Jesus that he did keep this commandment perfectly, and he died so we don't have to pay the penalty for taking God's name in vain. I'll see you in the next breakdown. Thanks for watching.